Amina lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling of her small home. Jibril's words echoed in her mind. What makes you happy? It was such a simple question, yet it unsettled her. For years, her happiness had been tied to survival, selling enough pots to eat, to keep a roof over her head, to avoid debt. Now, she had wealth, security, and a thriving business. By all measures, she should be happy. But was she? The next morning, she worked on a new piece, a vase unlike any she had made before. Instead of focusing on what would sell, she let her hands move freely, creating patterns that reminded her of childhood memories. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't working for profit. She was working for herself. Jibril arrived as she was finishing. He watched in silence before saying, "That's the most beautiful piece you've ever made." Amina looked down at the vase. She had to admit, it was different. It had soul. It told a story. Maybe Jibril was right. Maybe happiness wasn't just about wealth, it was about creation, love, and purpose. And maybe, just maybe, it was also about him. The next morning, Amina walked through the market with a renewed sense of awareness. Every glance, every whispered conversation felt heavier than before. Had Chief Okonkwo already begun his retaliation? Jibril walked beside her, his usual calmness unshaken. "You should be careful," he murmured as they passed a group of traders who quickly looked away. "Fear can turn people against you." Amina exhaled sharply. "I won't let him intimidate me." Jibril studied her before nodding. "Then we prepare." That day, he stayed at her shop longer than usual, watching the customers, the passers-by, even the rival traders. Amina focused on her work, but she couldn't ignore the weight of his presence, or the quiet comfort it brought her. As the sun set, she locked the shop and turned to Jibril. "What if he does more than send warnings?" Jibril's expression darkened. "Then we fight back." And for the first time, Amina realized she wasn't just battling for her business anymore, she was standing against a man who thought he could control her. But she wasn't alone. Amina's fears became reality the next morning. She arrived at her shop to find her best pieces shattered on the ground. The shelves were overturned, and the door had been forced open. A few passers-by stared in silence, some shaking their heads in pity. None stepped forward to help. A deep anger